Welcome to the Nurse Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's guest is Laura Alessio, and today's episode, How One Nurse Brings Evidence-Based Nursing and Holistic Health to Heart-Centered Leadership.
I was actually at a med legal conference, and that's when I met someone who told me that his wife was a nurse who taught nurses how to be nurse coaches. And my ears kind of perked up, and I was just like, tell me what this is. How come I've never heard of it? Like, I want to know more. And so that's how that ended up, leading to me becoming a nurse coach. I just again went down all the rabbit holes learning about that, and then but that's really, I feel like, I mean, it's just so funny how life unravels and things happen and fall into place, because when I first heard about nurse coaching, I immediately thought about two times in my life. One, when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I worked with a functional medicine provider who's excellent, but if I had known about nurse coaching, I would have definitely looked to hire one for additional support, just with the food plan that he wanted me to do that was very strict. And then also it made me think about when I took a yoga teacher training. I had done yoga for a really long time. I still do yoga, but it was more just wanting to learn more about it, not necessarily to become a teacher, but I did this training. And then at the end, we learned also more about meditation and Ayurvedic medicine. And I was trying to think of how I could incorporate what I learned into my nursing role. And I just didn't really know, like at the time, I didn't even know there was such a thing as being a board certified holistic nurse. And I didn't really know, where I'd get clients or how to start. And so once I heard about the nurse coaching, it kind of all just like light bulb moment, like, oh, this is it. I feel like I truly now have found, like I said, the dream career I didn't know existed.
Nurses, are you ready for more? My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining confidence, skills, and the freedom to live your life on your own terms. Assisting you in achieving your goals through tailored advice, continuous learning, and a collaborative approach is at the heart of everything I do. Stop being eaten alive. Come feel the sun. Be a nurse shark. And welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's guest is a wonderful nurse who's going to, I can't wait to hear all about what she's doing. Her name is Laura Alessio. She is a health and wellness coach, advanced holistic nurse, and founder of Nurse Coach Alessio, where she blends evidence-based nursing, mindfulness, meditation, HeartMath, and holistic practices to support stress reduction, resilience, and heart-centered leadership. I'm very excited to have you on the show, Alessio. And I'm going to ask you the first question here is, what made you become a nurse?
Yes, thank you, Tina. I appreciate you having me on the show. And there's a lot of reasons that I became a nurse, but I think I always reflect back, and I think it kind of fell into my lap subconsciously, because when my mom was 10 weeks pregnant with me, she was in a catastrophic car accident, and she survived, but she had a traumatic brain injury. And at the time, they didn't know if either of us was going to survive. So I was considered like a miracle baby. And growing up in an environment with a parent with a traumatic brain injury taught me to have a lot of patience and to, I feel like I essentially learned a lot of caretaking, and skills that are needed to be a nurse. And so it wasn't really until later on in life. I remember when I was younger, I used to want to be a pediatrician. I always had this, desire to help people, and I really enjoyed working with kids. Then it was later on, I studied sociology and Spanish in college, and then I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with those degrees. And that's when I started thinking about nursing. So I volunteered as a community health educator in the Peace Corps in Nicaragua. And upon returning from that, I started doing all my prerequisites for nursing and did an accelerated master's program for people who have their degree, undergrad degree in something other than nursing, who want to like change careers. So that's how I became a nurse.
So, what got you into going into the Peace Corps? Tell me about that.
So I studied Spanish like throughout school when I was younger, and then I really enjoyed it, and so I continued in college. But I still always wanted to go somewhere like Spanish speaking to really immerse myself and learn the language. And I had heard about the Peace Corps when I was in college. I ended up doing a different study abroad program, but upon graduating college, I was still, thinking that I really wanted to go somewhere Spanish speaking, and that time was when I was considering going into nursing as well. So I started doing volunteer work at the hospital to see, which departments I maybe would enjoy, and so yeah, a number of reasons, to work on my Spanish, but also to give back and learn more about healthcare in other countries, and so that's mostly the reason that I applied and went into the Peace Corps.
Okay. So knowing that you had this degree in sociology and you studied Spanish, and by the way, I took French. I was a French
Nice.
minor in college, so couldn't
Oui,
help you
oui.
there with the Spanish. But looking back into, you were already in the helping profession, and it sounded like you were already, had gotten used to helping because you were, helping to care for your mom and things like that. So when you went into nursing school, what was it about nursing in particular? Because you said you wanted to be a pediatrician. What was there a transition that says, you know what, nursing is better suited for you, or was it just a matter of logistics?
Instead of the sociology, or you mean beyond that?
Instead of going, because you said you're going to go and be a pediatrician at first, so
Oh, yeah, that was just a thought. Like, when I was really, really young, I remember wanting to
ah,
be a pediatrician. With that kind of faded away. And what I liked about nursing is just the variety of, different areas that you can go into. So it's not so limited, like being a pediatrician is pretty limiting. So
yeah.
yeah, does that answer your question? So,
Yeah. Because there's a lot of us that, growing up, we think, oh, I want to be a doctor, or, I want to be an astronaut. I want to do all these other things, right?
sure.
There's that. And then there's people that are really thinking about, I want to do this one thing. And then they're like, maybe that's not the one thing I really want to do. And so, I'm just as curious what drew you to nursing as opposed to all those other fields. And by the way, my background is also in psychology. So I have a minor's in psychology, which
Okay.
worked really well and got me into psychiatry as a nurse. But that's a whole other story. And so, what was it? What was your first nursing job when you got out of nursing school?
So I actually worked for the public health department in the county of San Diego. I worked for a program called Nurse Family Partnership, which was a home visiting program for low-income first-time parents. So it was
Hmm.
being like an advocate for them, but also a way, to support them and provide them with accountability and a lot of education and connecting them with resources in the community. So, majority of them were on, in California, it's called Medi-Cal. I think the rest of the country, Medicaid.
Hmm.
So connecting them with, resources and, things in the community that could help and assist them being a first-time parent. And then I worked in the childhood lead poisoning prevention program as a public health nurse as well at the County of San Diego, which was also very interesting because I kind of felt like I was a detective. I um, did home visits trying to identify what the source of the lead poisoning was for that child in that family. we had a lot of refugees, and then San Diego being so close to the border, there was a lot of products that are used in Mexico, that are either brought across to their homes in San Diego or by family members and whatnot. And so I did that, and then I transitioned into nurse case management. So I was a nurse case management manager for injured workers, so work comp case management. So again, being like an advocate to try to get these employees the treatment that they needed to get back into their working role. And that's then what got me into the legal nurse consulting. And then I learned about the nurse coaching, which was like the dream career that I never knew existed until a few years ago. And that's pretty much what brought me to today. So that I know you asked my first one, I give you all.
No, because what I'm hearing is some things out of this, because you're very community focused. I'm hearing that again and again. The community, even in your Peace Corps, it was giving back and being in the community, and you're looking at it affecting not just the individual patient, but overall out in the public health. You were a public health nurse, and again, community focus and advocacy is another theme that I'm hearing coming out in what you're doing. And so it makes sense to lead you to what you did later on, and becoming a legal nurse consultant and going into nurse coaching. So what was your most favorite aspect of your job as a nurse? What was your most favorite aspect that you love to do?
That's a great question. I just really find it so rewarding when I know that I have been able to help someone, like the feedback that I get from patients or clients. I remember one of my clients in the Nurse Family Partnership Program. I did a visit with her. I'd worked with her for a while during her pregnancy, and then after she had her child, and she was like, "You're like my nurse and my social worker and my therapist all in one." And I was like, "Well, I have a license for one of those," but yeah, just I mean, knowing that I really made a difference in someone's life and truly been able to help them. And that I think is just really what's been the most rewarding and overall, most meaningful to me.
Now, you talked about becoming a legal nurse consultant and becoming a nurse coach. What made you make that leap from, I'm going to say, more of a public service type enterprise to entrepreneurship? I mean, in entrepreneurship, you are still serving the public, but it's a whole different ballgame when you become the boss, right? So, what made
Mhm.
you transition into entrepreneurship?
Sure, that's a great question. So I remember in nursing school seeing a book about legal nurse consulting, and it wasn't like, I think it was like a bookcase in the lobby area or something. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Kind of piqued my interest. My dad was a personal injury attorney, and I never wanted to be an attorney, but I always thought his cases were interesting. And so during the pandemic, with all the downtime that we had, I thought that could be a good opportunity to take a legal nurse consulting course, and I did, and I never really had I did it more to learn about it and just see kind of what it was all about, not ever really with the intention like, oh, I'm going to start a business or anything. um, but I was at a luncheon with some colleagues a few months after I completed the course, and I mentioned that I had done it, and the colleague next to me said, like, "Oh, I could send you some referrals. How would I pay you?" And I was just like, "Oh, I hadn't really thought about it yet." She just made it sound so easy. Just said, "Start an LLC," and so then that's what I did pretty much. Went down the rabbit holes, figured that out, and I mean, she's really been a supportive mentor for me. I still do a little bit of legal nurse consulting now, so she just has really helped guide me through the process, and she does life care planning, but a lot of the work overlaps with legal nurse consulting,
Yes.
and so that's how it happened. And I mean, in the beginning, it was definitely very challenging because I was still working a full-time job as a nurse case manager. But during COVID, it was a little different, obviously, because we couldn't do the visits at the clinics, facilities, offices depending on their, policy at the time. So a lot of the work was telephonic, but I still worked a lot of, nights and weekends trying to do medical record reviews, just trying to get my name out there, as a legal nurse consultant, and then started doing, well, actually, my first referral was a defense medical exam. So that was the majority of what I did, but I did some medical record reviews, and then I was actually at a med legal conference, and that's when I met someone who told me that his wife was a nurse who taught nurses how to be nurse coaches. And my ears kind of perked up, and I was just like, tell me what this is. How come I've never heard of it? Like, I want to know more. And so that's how that ended up, leading to me becoming a nurse coach. I just again went down all the rabbit holes learning about that, and then but that's really, I feel like, I mean, it's just so funny how life unravels and things happen and fall into place, because when I first heard about nurse coaching, I immediately thought about two times in my life. One, when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I worked with a functional medicine provider who's excellent, but if I had known about nurse coaching, I would have definitely looked to hire one for additional support, just with the food plan that he wanted me to do that was very strict. And then also it made me think about when I took a yoga teacher training. I had done yoga for a really long time. I still do yoga, but it was more just wanting to learn more about it, not necessarily to become a teacher, but I did this training. And then at the end, well, we learned also more about like meditation and Ayurvedic medicine. And I was trying to think of how I could incorporate what I learned into my nursing role. And I just didn't really know, like at the time, I didn't even know there was such a thing as being a board certified holistic nurse. And I didn't really know, where I'd get clients or how to start. And so once I heard about the nurse coaching, it kind of all just like light bulb moment, like, oh, this is it. I feel like I truly now have found, like I said, the dream career I didn't know existed. I just am so passionate about it, and feel like this is a way that I can truly help people in a, preventative manner, so that they can help get themselves to a place, good health, whether it be nutrition, exercise. I have functional medicine training as well, and then my passion for mindfulness and meditation that I incorporate for those that are interested. But yeah, back to kind of like what you asked before about, like, I mean, I just feel like I'm gathering more and more of those moments of feeling reward and just really satisfied being able to help clients in this capacity.
Well, it sounds like you've kind of come full circle with what you started out doing, helping on that grander scale. And now you're taking all the different things that you've learned, the different modalities, and really creating something that's your own and that's unique with your business. And my first thought was, your dad was a personal injury attorney. You mean you didn't hit him up for business?
I tried. He kept saying he kept saying he was too old. All his friends were too old. He said, I need fresh new blood.
Yeah, I've had the reflection of some of my clients, the attorneys that I work with, have retired on me. I'm like, between them and the doctors retiring, I'm like, come on, somebody's got to come back to work. I'm not ready to retire yet. So let's go back to when you started your LLC, you started your business. What was that process like? Because I know you said you kind of just had to come up with it on the fly, but because we have some people that are thinking about going into business or are listening to the show, and I want them to kind of understand it might be a little bit different for you being in California, because each state has its own regulations and things like that. But kind of walk us through that process, just to kind of give us a little glimpse of what it was like.
Sure. So I won't say it was easy, to be perfectly honest. And I went through LegalZoom. I mean, this was 5 years ago now, so I remember it being tedious, and the information that they wanted. And I hope there's something. I mean, hopefully no one from LegalZoom is watching, but hopefully there's something new out there for, entrepreneurs to use. Um, I know that there was another platform that my brother had recommended. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but unfortunately, it wasn't able to be used by healthcare providers. So I ended up creating. It was a little confusing because that colleague said, why don't you create an LLC? And then when I was doing more research and learning about it, I learned, from my understanding, was that as a healthcare provider, it needs to be an S corp. And so mine is actually an S corp, and but I'm actually now considering changing it to an LLC. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, I just remember. I mean, the process can be grueling, but it's definitely worth it and definitely rewarding. And depending on what type of, entrepreneurs or nursepreneur, you may be wanting to become, it's definitely worth pursuing. It won't, I would say, there's always going to be challenges no matter what type of career you're in, whether you're working for someone or working on your own, but it's completely different. But I think it's such a great opportunity for growth, as personally and professionally. So I like I said, I did a lot of work like weekends and nights, and just to continue getting business and referrals and maintaining. It was difficult to maintain, and with the legal nurse consulting, it's pretty inconsistent. Like even the, excuse me, attorneys don't know, when they're getting cases or work or files or referrals or anything like that. So that was where it was more challenging in terms of being able to, have it go full time. So, I was always doing something else, whether full time or part time or something like that.
Now, when you, because I know you're still working as an LNC, are you still practicing clinically?
So I actually live in Puerto Rico now, and they don't have legal nurse consultants here. A lot of them, they don't even know that it's really a thing. So I'm not practicing clinically. I tried to get my nursing license here. It took a year and a half, and they ended up saying no because I have my master's, but I don't have my bachelor's of science in nursing, and they needed the transcript from that. So that was kind of um, a good learning experience, but very frustrating. So yeah, when I meet like with my coaching clients, I meet virtually or in person. But as far as my legal nurse consulting work, I'm not doing defense medical exams any longer in person because they don't do them here. And so I'm doing telephonic case management, and I yeah, like testifying, like if I am subpoenaed, like I was like a month ago. So my goal is to transition fully into the nurse coaching capacity,
Okay.
and yeah, so that's my goals moving forward.
So, so tell us about, well, okay, I got two questions. So first question is, um, how did you get to Puerto Rico? That's gonna be my first question. Let's go there, and then we're gonna talk about your nurse coaching. Because I'm curious, what made you decide to move to Puerto Rico? Was there like something that just, well, oh, I just want to live somewhere? Because I say this because I had a nurse on the show, and she just decided her daughter said, "Hey, mom, can we go live in Greece?" And she's like,
Oh,
"Yeah, sure, why
Angela.
not?" Yeah.
Yeah, so my boyfriend is a boat captain, and his company had a project in Puerto Rico, and I had never been, and I feel like I'm Latina at heart, and like I said, loved the opportunity in the Peace Corps in Nicaragua, and so this sounded like another exciting opportunity and adventure to live somewhere else for a little while, and I've absolutely fallen in love with it and the people, and it's yeah, it's been a great adventure. I'm so happy that we did it.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I was
that's
just
how
I was
I
curious. I was like,
yeah.
'cause I've talked to nurses who are from different places like Mexico and from the UK and Canada and places that they were born there. And then I
Right.
have nurses that travel and want to go, well, no, I decided to move, wherever. And I'm always curious as to, what gave you that wanderlust. I had
Sure.
another nurse that used to be on the cruise ships. And so she got used to traveling. So,
Yeah, I've always loved to travel. I mean, I grew up, my family, we did a lot of, travel, but like Baja trips in Mexico, and that's, kind of where I started with speaking Spanish as well, and just always up for an adventure. So this sounded like it was totally unexpected. Both of my boyfriend's family and my family are in San Diego, and we thought we would never leave, but this opportunity came up, and I think I was more excited than he was, and so.
okay. All right. So then tell me, with your nurse coaching business, what's your ideal customer? Who are you looking for and who are you looking to help?
Yes, so great question. So my ideal customer would be um, burnt out healthcare providers is more the direction that I'm going of with my niche. It's kind of evolved over the last year and a half, but since I have this passion for mindfulness and meditation, and I've become a certified facilitator of, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he's very big in the meditation space, and I completed a healthcare provider program with him and became certified. And so I incorporate that um, into my work with clients if they're, someone who's new to meditation or wanting to get back into it. That can be something that we can, co-create together, or if they want something more, health specific. But yeah, I think healthcare providers who are looking to, get their lives back into balance and regulate their nervous system and build, tools to help with their resilience. I also incorporate HeartMath and um, the knowledge and tools that I've gained from, what I've learned with that, because that's the company that does the research for Dr. Joe Dispenza.
So tell us a little bit more about HeartMath because a lot of people may not understand what that is.
Yeah, so HeartMath is an organization that they do the research for, beyond just these retreats for Dr. Joe Dispenza, they actually do it globally with what are called random number generators. And there is one way, actually, I have it right here, my inner balance coherence tool that you can use. Their app is free. You can download the HeartMath app and you can learn more about your heart rate variability, which essentially is the space between the amount of time in between each heartbeat. So you have your heart rate, which is one thing, but then your heart rate variability is a number that's given that shows I said, the space and time between the heart rate. And so the inner balance coherence tool that I use, you just attach it to your ear, and you can use it while you're doing a meditation, or they have a lot of resources on the app that you can help to learn more about your coherence and how to improve it. And it all really boils down to helping regulate your nervous system. Um, and I could get into more detail about autonomic nervous system and your sympathetic, parasympathetic, and all that. I'm not sure how much you want me to get into, but
So if someone wanted to contact you and they wanted to work with you, how would they get a hold of you?
sure. So they can check out my website, nursecoachalessio.com. It's NURSECOACH, and then my last name, ALESSIO.com. Or I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook as my name, Laura Alessio, or Instagram, Nurse Coach Alessio. I'm on some of the other social medias as well, but not as regular, TikTok and X, but usually the same name, Nurse Coach Alessio,
Okay.
or
All right.
YouTube.
All right, so we'll put those links into the show notes for anybody that wants to set up a session with you. Um, and we'll definitely do that and make sure that they're able to get in contact with you. Okay, and I understand that you also have something for our listeners. Can you want to tell us about that?
Yes, of course. I'm happy to offer a free mini mindfulness session for anyone who's interested. We can connect on the best day and time that works for you, and I'm happy to guide you in a mindfulness practice. Or if you're interested in joining my free Facebook group, Stress Less with Mindfulness, happy to have you in there as well.
Okay. So I'll put that information into the show notes and make sure you let them know that you heard about this on the Nurse Shark Academy show so she knows where you're coming from. If you want to sign up for that free mini mindfulness session or join the Facebook group, let her know how you heard of her. And so I'm going to ask you the last question I ask all of our guests. And if you had a piece of advice for a budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
It would be to that you can do it. Believe in yourself. And if you're frustrated, take a pause and take a deep breath and know that the journey may not be easy, but it is so worth it.
Well, I am furiously writing down notes here. So, yes, I love that. You can do it. Believe in yourself. If you need to, take that deep breath and it's worth it. I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today and for being here. If you want to get a head of Coach Alessio, you want to get in touch with her, we're going to put that information into the show notes. Her website is nursecoachalessio.com. Make sure that you let her know that you heard about her on the Nurse Shark Academy show. I thank you so much for being here. It's going to be a wonderful episode. I can't wait to get this up and posted for everyone. And so I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Oh, you're more than welcome. This has been the Nurse Shark Academy show. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're watching this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're listening to us through Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a like and a comment. We so greatly appreciate it. Share this content so that more great nurses and those that support nurses know what these wonderful nurses are doing. I thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time. Ready to turn your nursing skills into a thriving business? At the Nurse Shark Academy, we give you expert strategies, real startup guidance, and the support to go from employee to empowered entrepreneur. Join us and build the nurse-owned business of your dreams. Start today and join us at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.